Squishy Monster, and today I'm hanging out with 15 spatulas, and we're both making recipes infused with sriracha, my absolute favorite condiment. Check out what she's making below. I'm putting a spicy twist on chicken and waffles, so hang out with me and I'll show you exactly how to whip this up. The very first thing I want to work on is soaking my chicken, and overnight is ideal, but if you're really pressed for time, you can get away with 2 to 3 hours. So in my dish, I'm going to pour in my thick buttermilk. And I love the tang that it imparts, and the acid is really going to help break down that meat, make it really juicy and succulent. And to flavor that, I'm going to put in some sriracha, that homemade sriracha we made. So scrape that all in there and give it a nice little whisk, just so it all incorporates and mixes well together. And then it's as easy as dunking in your chicken, and I found that my quarters were less expensive, so I've just segmented some dark meat, some chicken thighs and drumsticks. Thighs are my favorite. So just let them swim and soak in there, cover it, and put it in your refrigerator overnight. I want to put together my dry ingredients, and behind me I have some hot oil heating up. It's a combination of canola and bacon fat, just for some extra flavor. And I want it to reach about 350 before I fry off my chicken, but first I've got to dredge it. So I've got a combination of spelt and all-purpose. You can definitely just use all-purpose. And to that I want to add in, I have some freshly cracked black pepper, some salt, and some baking powder, and I want to sprinkle that in there. And just go in there with your fingers, or if you'd like, you can whisk it together and just kind of combine all of that together. Now we can coat or dredge each of our chicken pieces that have been soaking overnight in the dry mixture. So I want to take a piece of my wet chicken out, and that moisture from the buttermilk will help flavor everything as well as making it tender and help the dry mixture cling. So just dredge it, kind of shake off the excess, but make sure every surface bit of that area is covered in that seasoned dry mixture. And then continue moving on to your other pieces. When your oil reaches 350, you want to slowly take a few pieces of chicken and softly plop them in the oil. And you want it to be 350, and make sure you don't overcrowd the pan, so just a few pieces will do, because you don't want to lower the heat. My chicken is bubbling away nicely, and I just checked the thermometer and it reads about 150, so just a little while to go and they're going to be done. While my chicken is frying, I can begin whisking together all of my waffle ingredients. So I'm going to begin with my dry sifted. So I'm just whisking together my flour, all-purpose, unbleached, cornstarch, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. So I want to set that aside and then begin working on my egg white. So in a bowl swiped clean of any traces of fat, I want to drip in my egg whites that I separated from my yolk that we're going to use in a little bit. And then I'm going to whisk it until it gets nice and frothy. And then I'm going to sprinkle in my cream of tartar, and then slowly streaming in my sugar. And I want stiff peaks here. So this is the peak you're looking for. When you lift it up, your whisk stands up upright like this and stiff, so that's perfect. Now in my third and final bowl, I can whisk together all of my wet remaining ingredients. That's my buttermilk, and then my oil, my yolk that came separate from my egg white. I'm dripping everywhere. Scrape all of that rich, yolky goodness into that bowl. And then you can either use amaretto liqueur or vanilla or almond extract, whatever your heart desires. To my dry mixture, I want to slowly begin tipping in my wet mixture. A little bit at a time. And then just mix in between each addition. Don't overmix. Make sure everything gets saturated, and slowly pour that in there and give it another whisk. And you want to do this until it's all combined. When it's just combined, it's going to be okay if it has lumps. Lumps are your friends, so don't worry too much about it. You just don't want to overmix. Now all we have to do is fold in our stiff egg whites to our batter. So take a little portion at a time and go in the center, drop it in, and fold it over. You don't have to be too careful in the beginning. You just don't want to deflate all of the air bubbles, so just kind of keep soft strokes in mind. When your waffle iron has heated up, you can scoop in and drop your batter into the center and kind of spread it out. And see, that egg white really has made this whole thing so light and fluffy. So kind of spread it out, nudge it to the edges, so you get yourself a nice fat waffle, and close it and let it do its thing. To finish off my chicken and waffles, I thought it would be nice to pair it with some whipped Sriracha honey. So in a bowl, I'm going to drizzle in some honey. Fingerful for me. And then spike it with a little bit of our homemade Sriracha. And then take a whisk or a hand mixer and beat it together. I thought it would be fun to have kind of like a tower of waffles and some crispy chicken, and so I'm gonna drizzle it over with my honey and Sriracha mixture, and I didn't whip it for as long because I don't want it to be a spreadable consistency. I want it to be just like this, a drizzling consistency. So go crazy and drizzle it to your heart's content. So forgive me for what I'm about to do, but when I look at this plate, it is screaming at me to lick it off my fingers. So I'm gonna go in there with my hands and eat with my fingers. Hope you don't mind. Get a piece of that crispy skin. I don't know if you can hear that. That is so crunchy. And chicken skin is one of my favorite things. Don't judge. Tear a piece of that waffle off, and everything is coated in that Sriracha honey. See how it tastes. That single bite is such a foodgasm. That is the epitome of foodgasm for me. The edges of the waffle are so crisp and the entire body of it is so light and airy. Yet that deep, dark crunch from the chicken skin. And the chicken inside is so moist and succulent and juicy. And everything is coated in that sticky sweetness of that natural honey. It's to die for. I so hope you guys give this a try. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. This is the Squishy Monster, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!